My grandmother used to tell me this story a lot. She used to tell it to everyone in the family. And it happened in her village in a state in the center of the country, just after the middle of the last century. The Berlanga family was one of the wealthiest in the area, the richest people in the village. People said they had many businesses in the big cities of the country, but for some reason they chose to keep living in the village, where they had a huge estate, truly huge. From the entrance, you had to travel several more kilometers to reach the mansion, and from there, they ruled with the power of their money, even though they had never gotten involved in politics. In the town, there was always, how should I put it, strange disappearances. First, every now and then, some man. It was always rumored that they had gone north to work. But then some boys started to disappear, always leaving without saying anything. After a while, girls started to disappear too, then children. Then some entire families. People started to worry, to live in fear. Stories of witches and ghosts that came at night, stories about taking away the people from the area started to be told quietly, with a lot of fear in the old lady's conversations. But none of that was true. On one occasion, a farmer was heading out with a load of chili peppers to a big city. They say it was Guadalajara. A few kilometers from the Berlanga estate, a 12-year-old girl ran across the road, asking for help. He, frightened and shocked, let her get in, and one of his helpers, who was riding in the back, came over to help her. She was covered in wounds, in bites, deep bites, with marks that seemed to be from human teeth, some small and others large. When they were cleaning her, they touched her shoulder, and the girl screamed in pain. When they uncovered it, they looked on in horror. They saw that a large piece of flesh had been torn from her shoulder, a very deep piece. The mark was from a huge mouth, disgusting, with crooked teeth. They sped up. The girl kept telling them to run away, not to go to the town for any reason, because the police wouldn't help them. In the city, they spoke with the local police, and an investigator went to the hospital where the girl was. And after questioning her, talking to the farmer and the laborer, he left quickly. The young assistant asked the farmer for permission to step out for a moment, frightened. He never returned, not to the hospital, nor to the town for his family. People say something horrible happened to him. The truth is that the next day the investigator returned to the hospital. The farmer hadn't wanted to leave the girl, and he spoke with them. This time, the investigator was accompanied by a very elegant man, a powerful businessman, coincidentally, a business rival from the Berlanga family. They promised justice would be served. The Berlanga family was protected by the town's police, even by state authorities. But the mysterious businessman was more powerful. It's said that he spoke with none other than Miguel Alemán, just a few weeks before he took office as president. Hundreds of police came to my grandmother's town. They entered the Berlanga estate heavily armed. There they put up resistance. The farmhands, the workers of the estate, all fiercely defended the family. Even the maids attacked the authorities as they entered. They say they looked like wild animals and wouldn't stop fighting until they were shot several times. What they found at the scene horrified them. The newspapers of the time made a big deal out of it. Hundreds, literally hundreds of bodies, half-eaten. Elderly people, men, women, children. Children at an age when they could barely walk. They had been devoured. At some point years ago, the family had decided to push their power to the limit. Not content with taking advantage of the townspeople and getting rich at their expense, they had started to become fascinated with testing them. By devouring them, by performing horrendous, monstrous rituals in which they would eat the living little by little. Meanwhile, another group of victims watched, filled with terror, waiting for their turn. The girl who escaped had been captured with her sister. When it was her turn to take part in the ritual, both of them fought with all their strength to save themselves. The 14-year-old older sister viciously attacked Miguelito, the youngest Berlanga, and tore out one of his eyes, while he bit his sister like a beast. In the confusion amid the boy's cries of pain, she managed to escape. The punishment for the other was the most painful and cruel death at the hands of Miguelito and the rest of the Berlanga family. When police arrived, the young woman was still hanging by her wrists in agony. The family had been eating her little by little. For 2 days, they had devoured her from her feet up to her thighs. The police took away the survivors of the Berlanga family. The townspeople took it upon themselves to lynch 2 or 3 of the ranch hands who had survived the shootout. But the Berlangas were never prosecuted, never brought to justice for their crimes. Only Don Abel, the patriarch of the family, an old man of nearly 70 years, but nothing was ever heard again about the others. My grandmother says that decades later, in the 90s, when she returned to the village, children claimed things among the estate's ruins. Sometimes they would see a man with an eye patch walking around. A story, most likely, fueled by this tale that has never stopped being told in the community. I'm curious to think, how much did freedom cost the Berlanga family? In which city or town did they go into hiding? Did they keep up their macabre rituals? I still think of them whenever I see the newspapers. News about people who have disappeared,